All right, y'all, what's up, man? Sean G here. Welcome to the podcast for Soul. I don't normally do videos like this, but this video hit so close to home that I had to do it. Typically, my channel is about self-esteem, self-confidence, self-love, having a high self-perception, calisthenics, prison interviews, and stuff like that. But today I want to talk about Big Meech, Cuffy, Tammy Cowins, and FCI Morgantown and my nigga Black. All right, so it looks as though, from what I heard, there's a lot of stuff going on right now on the internet about Big Meech being a rat. And from what I understand, there is something that you can do in the federal system, probably in the state system, which is called third-party cooperation, right? So if your brother or your sister or your mother or your best friend or your father is in prison and you're a free person, you can go to the feds or you can go to the authorities of the state and say, look, I'm willing to give you some information to help get my family member's time cut. Say your family member, your brother, your sister, or whoever I just mentioned is doing 10 years. You go to the feds and say, listen, I got some information for you. It's a sure shot. You can make a big bust, but I want to get my brother's time cut from 10 years to 2. And I want $50,000. And if they're interested, they'll agree to that, provided that the information that you give leads to an arrest. So it looks like this is what Meech did, Big Meech from BMF, Demetrius Flannery. Now, I did 16 months in FCI Morgantown, out in Morgantown, West Virginia. And one of my main homeboys, one of my main niggas that I befriended when I was in the joint with him was from East St. Louis, Illinois, which is right next door to St. Louis. I'm not going to give his name, but I called him Black. And when I seen all this come out about 50 Cent posted on Instagram with the big BMF and said, Big Meech, who is Tammy Cowins? And then I started seeing videos come in my feed about this whole situation. I called my nigga Black and asked him, I said, yo, Black, do you know Cuffy? My nigga Black tells me, say, yeah, I used to do business with Cuffy. Criminal business, right? Drug business. Because my nigga Black was in on drug conspiracy, 22-year sentence, end up doing 17 off of that. Think he got a 2-point reduction when Obama and Eric Holder revamped the law, and he ended up going from like 22 years to like 20 or whatever, or 19 or something, and he ended up doing somewhere between 17 and 18 years. Solid, didn't cooperate, none of that. So he said, yeah, man, I know Cuffy very well. And we used to do business together, drug business. So I was like, do you know about this situation? He said, yeah. He said, Cuffy had been getting work from Big Meech. And when I say work, I mean drugs, cocaine, from Big Meech. And, they was doing business together. I think this was like the early 2000s. So Big Meech gets knocked off, and goes to prison or whatever. He gets caught up, jammed up. And the way my nigga explained it to me, that while Meech was in prison, he called Cuffy on the phone. And by this time, Meech is working with Tammy Cowins, who has agreed to become a DEA informant, Drug Enforcement Agency informant, in order to help Big Meech get his time cut. So Meech calls, Tammy Cowins gets paid $250,000 by the feds to bring them a case. She promises them that she can bring them a case. And they agree. And Big Meech calls Cuffy, who is from St. Louis. Cuffy is from St. Louis. And while Meech is in jail, in prison, he calls Cuffy and says, yo, I got the dope connect for the low price. I got the dope connect. I got the plug. And Cuffy refuses him. Says, nah, man, I'm straight. Wait a little while. Meech calls him back. Yo, I got the connect, man. Cuffy turns him down. The third time, Cuffy goes for it. Says, all right, I'm with it. So Meech puts Cuffy in touch with, did he put him in touch with Tammy? How did he tell me the story? Did he put him in touch with Tammy? And then Tammy put Cuffy in touch with some DEA agents, some feds posing as big time drug dealers. And they make a big deal, big drug deal. Now, the day the deal is supposed to go down, where the money is supposed to get exchanged and the drugs supposed to get exchanged, something goes wrong and they don't got the drugs and the deal falls apart. But at this point, as you know with the feds, all they need is verbal conversations and verbal commitments, and you can get indicted on a drug conspiracy without any drugs ever, I think without any drugs ever taking place. But I think Cuffy had a history and was known to be a drug dealer. He might have had a few cases before that. So at that point, all he needs is just say yes or whatever, or discuss price, and that's enough to get you jammed up in a conspiracy. So the drug deal goes bad, and but they got enough to get Cuffy, and Cuffy gets locked up, right? Now, the feds are paying this girl, Tammy Cowins, as the time is going, you know, they're paying her. And on Cuffy's case, there was some murders of witnesses, right? So Cuffy was facing the death penalty because on his case, I guess some witnesses got murdered. So comes to light, it gets revealed that this girl, Tammy Cowins, right, was fucking one of the DEA agents posing as a drug dealer, which is negative. It there's a conflict of interest, and it corrupts the case, right? Because now the defense attorney could argue, well, the money that Tammy was getting, that the money that the informant was getting, she was splitting it with the 5-0, with the cop. It corrupts the cop. The cop is corrupted. He's compromised. That's the word. So the judge gets wind of this. This all comes out in Cuffy's case, that Tammy is having sexual exploits with this DEA agent posing as a big-time drug dealer, trying to sell drugs to Cuffy in St. Louis. And the case begins to unravel. Because like I say, with her sleeping with the DEA agent, that's a no-go. You can get a case tossed out immediately. So the judge gets wind of this and says, look, I'm about this close from throwing this case out, because this is just not good. And instead of Cuffy getting the death penalty, right, for the amount of drugs he had, and like I say, there was some situations where some people were murdered, he didn't get the death penalty, he didn't get life imprisonment, and he agreed to a 27-year sentence, right? At least he got an out date. The DEA agent got fired, and Big Meech, I guess he got his time cut, because from what I understand, with the amount of drugs that Big Meech was charged with, he's supposed to have got a life sentence, right? He should not have gotten out on after 20 years. But he benefited from a third-party cooperation. And if you listen to, I saw on Instagram, Blue Da Vinci, who was a part of BMF, had Cuffy on the phone. And Cuffy explains this whole situation within a 90-minute reel. He explains what I just explained. And the story that I got was from my nigga Black, who I was in prison with at Morgantown. Black was at Morgantown with me, and he knew Cuffy personally, and like I say, had done business with Cuffy, and he knows the whole story. And I talked to him the other day, and what I just told you, I got it from him, from somebody that knows the whole story. So that's my input on what happened. And these are the types of guys, right? That's crazy, man. Look at these guys, man. You know what I'm saying? In the drug game, in the criminal game, there's no love, man. People will throw you under the bus, man, to save themselves, right? And I think, I don't know his dealings with 50 Cent or whatever the case may be. Y'all can decide that on your own. But I just wanted to drop this information here on my channel to get the views with the Big Meech name and the Cuffy, that whole thing, because his name is hot in the algorithm right now. But also, like, having somebody who is firsthand knowledge of what went down with this case, for this to be my man that I did about 16 months with and know him very, very well, my tight homeboy. I just wanted to do this video. Sean G, Podcast with Soul. Peace.